Spock is taken to sick bay to where Bones performs a scan to see what happened to him. But when Spock regains consciousness, all of a sudden he does something that he has not done throughout the movie. He starts laughing. He even calls Kirk by his first name. Spock now knows what V'Ger is. V'Ger is a machine that possesses pure logic and great knowledge, without emotions, without flaws. Coincidentally, this state of mind was something that Spock was trying to achieve his whole life, to forsake his human half and only embrace his emotionless Vulcan half. But now, after sharing the thoughts with a being that possesses these traits to an extreme, Spock realizes that by only having these traits, life becomes meaningless.
This simple feeling is beyond V'Ger's comprehension. No meaning, no hope. And Jim, no answers. It's asking questions. Is this all that I am? Is there nothing more?
This is why V'Ger is headed to Earth, to find its creator, and that it hopes that it may find its answers, just like how Spock found his. So now V'Ger has reached Earth and starts to broadcast a radio transmission to the planet in hopes of contacting the creator. This baffles the crew because the method of communication is quite primitive considering how advanced V'Ger is, but unfortunately there is no reply. This causes V'Ger to send several destructive probes to orbit the planet, which would then eventually destroy every living thing on Earth. Apparently, V'Ger assumes that its creator is a machine, just like it, but that the humans on the planet are responsible for the disappearance of the creator. Now, I would like to bring your attention to Decker. It may be a minor thing, but up to this point, Decker has always been more concerned for the survival of the ship and its crew. But now, as he witnesses what may become the end of all life on planet Earth, the reality of what is really at stake here starts to sink in. His face says it all. Kirk tries to reason with the Ilea probe, but to no avail. However, Spock then realizes that V'Ger's actions does lead to an additional theory. V'Ger is like a child that is growing, learning, and instinctively needing. And it is from this new perspective of V'Ger that Kirk tries a different approach.
The carbon units know why the Creator has not responded.
Disclose the information.
Not until V'Ger withdraws the devices orbiting the third planet.
Captain, I'm losing Starfleet. Interference from V'Ger.
Kirk unit, disclose the information. Why has the Creator not responded?
No. Secure all stations. Clear the bridge.
Clear the bridge, Captain?
That was the order, Mr. Sulu. Clear the bridge.
Aye, sir.
Your child is having a tantrum, Mr. Spock.
V'Ger requires the information.
Bridge. Secure all stations. Move out.
Jim, what the hell kind of strategy is this?
All ships' functions going to automatic, Captain.
If V'Ger destroys the Enterprise, the information that V'Ger requires will also be destroyed.
It is illogical to withhold required information. Kirk unit. Kirk unit.
So the tables have turned. Kirk is at last in a position to make demands. Spock recommends that they reach the center of the fortress to where V'Ger lies. So Kirk tells the Ilea probe that he doesn't want to give the information unless he meets with V'Ger face to face. The passageway opens up and a tractor beam leads the Enterprise to the central complex of the fortress.
Well, Mr. Decker, it seems my bluff has been called.
I'm afraid our hand is pretty weak, Captain.
It's funny to note, as the film progresses, something interesting happens. Decker and Kirk have been less competitive and more cooperative. It seems that Kirk's patience starts to pay off as Decker starts to become a great asset to Kirk. The Enterprise reaches its final destination as a breathable atmosphere forms around the ship, with the central complex within walking distance. Kirk then goes with the Alea probe and decides to bring Spock and Bones with him and leaves Decker in charge. But Decker instead asks if he can go with them, which Kirk agrees to. So, on foot, they head to the heart of the complex. But what they find instead doesn't fit with expectations.
V-G-E-R. Feature. V-O-Y-A-G-E-R. Voyager.
The pieces start to come together. V'ger is actually one of the Voyager probes sent by NASA over 300 years ago. And this explains why it tried to contact its creator on Earth. Voyager has been traveling through space for hundreds of years, doing the very thing that it has been programmed to do: collect as much data as possible and then return that information to its creator. Decker then tells the group of what Earth knew about the fate of Voyager, that it disappeared into what NASA thought to be a black hole at the time. Kirk and Spock hypothesize that Voyager must have emerged in another region of the universe and drifted towards the machine planet. And even though Voyager was primitive, the machine race gave it the technology to help fulfill its programming. This allowed it to evolve and grow and become more powerful as its knowledge of the universe expanded.
Kirk unit. V'ger awaits the information.
Enterprise. Order up the ship's computer library records on the late 20th century NASA probe Voyager 6. Specifically, we want the old NASA code signal that instructs the probe to transmit its data. And fast, Uhura, fast.
Aye, sir.
That's what it's been signaling. Its readiness to transmit its information.
And there's no one on Earth who could recognize the old signal and send a response.
The Creator does not answer.
So Kirk decides to spill the beans and tells V'ger that they, the human race, are the creator. Of course, the Alea probe disputes it, since V'ger doesn't consider humans to be true life forms, but Kirk then proves it to V'ger by relaying the code to V'ger's transmitter. But something strange happens. The transmitter fails. It turns out that the antenna has a loose connection.
The antenna leads are melted away.
Yes, Captain, just now. By V'ger itself.
Why?
To prevent reception.
Of course. To bring the Creator here. To finish transmitting the code in person. To touch the Creator.
So V'ger wants to meet its god. But what would happen next? Earlier in the film, we learned that V'ger wants to join with the Creator, and Spock, knowing its desires, understands why.
V'ger must evolve. Its knowledge has reached the limits of this universe, and it must evolve. What it requires of its God, Doctor, is the answer to its question: is there nothing more?
What more is there than the universe, Spock?
Other dimensions, higher levels of being.
The existence of which cannot be proven logically. Therefore, V'ger is incapable of believing in them.
What V'ger needs in order to evolve is a human quality. Our capacity to leap beyond logic.
And joining with its Creator might accomplish that.
You mean this machine wants to physically join with a human? Is that possible?
Let's find out.
Decker.
I'm gonna key the final sequence through the ground test computer.
Decker, you don't know what that'll do to you.
Yes, I do, Doctor.
Decker, don't.
Jim, I want this. As much as you wanted the Enterprise, I want this.
So what is Decker's motives? I think it's pretty obvious. Decker clearly aspires to great things. This is why he so badly wanted to be captain of a starship, why he constantly bashes heads with his superior. He is definitely what we would call a go-getter. But in addition to that, he also wants to be reunited with Ilea, the true Ilea. Is this decision too risky? Is his choice too hasty? Yes, it is. But you know what? Love makes people do stupid things. The way that he sees it is, why not explore the universe and beyond with your loved one by your side? It's almost poetic if you think about it. Decker is doing exactly the thing that Kirk and the others have always been doing, to go where no man has gone before. In a spectacular display, Vijay's ultimate desire becomes a reality as a new endless journey becomes within reach. Decker, Ilea, and Vijay disappears, with only the Enterprise left behind.
Did we just see the beginning of a new life form?
Yes, Captain. We witnessed a birth. Possibly a next step in our evolution.
I wonder.
I wonder. That is exactly what many of us may think. There are still mysteries out there that leaves us to ask, what exactly is this new life form that Kirk, Spock, and Bones witnessed? And where did it go? Is Ilea part of the entity, or does she travel with him? Regardless of these unanswered questions, I can at least say for sure that all the things that needed to be resolved did get resolved. Kirk did accomplish the thing that he sought out to do, and that is to save Earth from certain destruction. And whether he did it for the right reasons or not, probably doesn't matter. But the more interesting story is that of Vijay and Spock. Both Vijay and Spock are individuals limited by the ways of knowledge and logic. And yet, it's only when they embrace the human quality that they are only then able to find their purpose in life, which would allow them to reach their full potential. Now, I'm not saying that they should forsake their logic selves, but rather embrace the strengths of both sides. So now Starfleet inquires the crew of the status of the ship, of which Kirk states that the ship is fully operational, but with 2 casualties. This may be subtle, but as Kirk mentions the 2 casualties, he refers to them as Lieutenant Ilea and Captain Decker. I like this little detail in the dialogue because it is a nice way for Kirk to express his respect for Decker. But then Kirk quickly corrects himself and instead decides to list them as missing. So Kirk decides that the ship perhaps needs a proper shakedown into deep space, of which Scotty then tells Mr. Spock that they can drop him off at Vulcan if he wants. But Spock expresses his desire to remain on the ship as he believes that there's nothing there for him to achieve anymore.
Mr. Sulu, ahead warp 1.
Warp one, sir.
Heading, sir?
Out there. That away.